Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Out Today and What I Missed, this time for April 10th, 2024. If you missed last week's show, well, so did I. I was in the hospital for a few days, and it turns out I have the beginning stages of heart failure, which can be reversed, and I'm going to be currently working on that, plus all of my other physical and mental struggles that I'm currently going through. So if you notice things being a little bit shorter on the show this week, and going forward, I do apologize, but I gotta do what's best for me. That said, I still have a ton of coverage to do here with 24 albums to cover, 7 that are out today and the rest that I missed along the way, including all the albums I would have covered last week. So let's get into it. First up, we have Archspire with Too Fast to Die. The 5th album from this Canadian tech death band is simply their best work to date. The band has gone through a lot of peaks and valleys over the years, with a lot of trials and tribulations, and they've come out the other side riding their magnum opus. This is everything that has made the band stand out over the years, but everything is done to its absolute limits. When the music gets more melodic, it's even more melodic than ever before, but it's matched up with sheer brutality. The musicianship from everyone involved is utterly insane, and it's matched up with perfect production value. This is what other tech death bands aspire to be in 2020, no pun intended, and Archspire is sitting firmly at the top of that tech death mountain, and what a ride it's been so far. Next up is Immolation Descent, the 12th album in 35 years, one of the most devastating death metal bands in existence, and it more than lives up to everything the band is capable of, and more. The band has always been known to put in the right amounts of brutal, technical, and melodic moments into their blended death metal, and with every release, they find a way to one-up themselves, and this is by far no exception. Everything that you love about the band is here, but done with just a little more finesse and elegance. Matched with the killer production style, this is some of the band's best work ever, and helps put some of their contemporaries to absolute shame. Immolation has been laying waste to everything in their path for 38 years now, and Descent, if this is any clue, shows that they are far from slowing down anytime soon. Now we have Long Distance Calling with the Phantom Void. The leaders of progressive post-metal are back with their 9th album, and it might be their darkest album to date. The whole album, while instrumental, is a concept album that focuses on a dark, horror-drenched story that is matched up with visuals made for the album, which makes for a terrific display of not only musicianship, but storytelling, and proves that vocals aren't always needed. The band will always master the sound, and they only get better as time goes on. The songwriting is at its band's peak so far, and the production matches it perfectly. As far as the traditional Long Distance Calling album, this might be my favorite since Avoid the Light, and that is not an easy thing to say. If you want to hear how progressive post-metal is done to the best of its ability, you need to check out the Phantom Void. Now we have Lord of the Lost with Opus Noir Volume 3. The final album of the Opus Noir trilogy is finally here. I covered Volume 1 last year, but didn't get to cover Volume 2 as it came out in December during my yearly break, although that is an incredible release as well. Volume 3 feels like the perfect culmination for this era of the band, matching their blend of industrial, melodic, gothic, and heavy moments, combined to create a sound that is as catchy as it is dark. Much like I said about Volume 1, this feels like the best of Lord of the Lost with brand new material, and between all 3 albums, it's clear that the band can clearly balance quality and quantity at the same time. If you enjoy the style, you simply need Lord of the Lost in your life. Now we have Riket with 2026. The debut album from this Swedish death metal band featuring past and present members of Benighted, Netherbird, Northborn, and Terminal Prospect is a fantastic display of the genre. An album that is thematically about the tragedy of Swedish history, all performed in Swedish by the way, and the music more than matches up with themes, going from all-out fury to hauntingly beautiful passages on the turn of a dime, and never losing its edge. The production on this one feels so natural for the sound on display, and it gives a true mid-90s Swedish melodeath feel. If you want a band that mixes Edge of Sanity, Grave, At the Gates, and Dismember, you need Riket. And finally, for brand new albums out today, we have Voidchaser with Interstellar I. The debut album from this Montreal band is the perfect blend of Between the Buried and Me, Dream Theater, and Haken, matching the musicianship of all 3 of those bands, but adding their own herbs and spices into the music to create a sound that pays homage to the classic progressive metal, but still keeps up with the 21st century twists and turns. It gets cold, dark, and heavy, but it also gets very melodic, harmonic, and smile-inducing, all while showing off their unbelievable musicianship and tenacity. If you love your progressive metal new and old, but you want a new take on all of it, Voidchaser is here and delivering the goods. And now for everything that I missed, and trust me, there's a lot of it this time. Starting with Corrosion of Conformity with Good God, Bad Man. The 11th album from this long-running North Carolina band is picking up right where No Cross, No Crown left off, but there has been a lot that has happened since then. Trials, tribulations, and sad changes in the lineup due to leaving the band and passing on. But the core sound of the band still exists with Pepper Keenan in that southern metal, sludge metal, stoner metal sound, and it sounds just as heavy and groove-laden as ever. Even Stanton Moore returns on the drum throne on this one, though he only does the recording for this, he has not joined the band. In all honesty, this is probably my favorite COC album since In the Arms of God, and that spirit from 21 years ago is still very strong here. The production is tailor-made for the band, and the music creativity and diversity is so strong. While this has gone from the band has been a lot, it still feels very strong here. This incarnation of the band is carrying the torch and doing a phenomenal job. If you love this era of COC, you will love this album. Next up is Cruel Force with Haneda. 4 albums into this German band's career, and they continue making better and better music with every single release. This is exactly my kind of blackened speed metal, thrash metal, and so much more, from the guitar tones, the double bass assaults, and of course those rototom fills that couldn't feel more 80s if they tried. While this is nothing groundbreaking, it doesn't need to be. It just has to be absolutely solid, and this is one of the most solid blackened speed metal albums that you're going to hear in 2026. Next up is Dance with the Dead with Malombra. The 6th album from this California duo continues to make horror-inspired dark synth and industrial rock and metal that I've always loved from them, but done, somehow, even better. The fact that the band's trajectory has only gotten better and better over the years is no easy thing to achieve, but it's all done here in all of its glory. All while instrumental, the music more than carries the weight without vocals needed, and they make the most of their combined musical talent time and time again. The production matches the mood, and the album is so layered and diverse in its sound, making for one of the most well-rounded albums and fun albums that they've made to date. If you love 80s inspired synth, horror movies, and of course fun, you need Dance with the Dead. Now we have Dust with Thoughts of a Falling Man. The sophomore album from this Italian band is a great step up from their debut album back in 2019. They've taken everything that they learned over the past 7 years to create stronger, harder hitting, and more in-depth lyrics that strike a chord with me time and time again. Mixed together with a clear and powerful production style, this is an album that is meant for those who enjoy the likes of Trivium, Gojira, Parkway Drive, and Faith Burner. If you want some quality groove metal, metalcore, and death metal, this is one that'll truly make you think. Next up is Grain of Pain with Behind Us All. The sophomore album from this one-man Finnish band made one of the finest examples of melodic and gothic doom metal with their 2024 album, The Moon That Lights the Way. In 2026, they have not only created another masterpiece of the genre, but it is easily the best album of the two. Everything that worked so well with the debut is doubled down here, and they create so many new outlets for the music that makes it stronger, tighter, and filled with so much more sorrow. Not to mention the guest vocal spots from the singers of Decapitated, Ivignot, and more, and you have an album that is filled to the brim with everything that I love about this genre, done with pitch-perfect production and songwriting. For straight-up melodic and gothic doom metal, you'll be hard-pressed to find an album that tops this in 2026. And if you enjoy the likes of Dawn of Solace, In Mourning, Swallow the Sun, and Hanging Garden, check out Grain of Pain. Now we have Grain of Carnation with A Dark Poem Part 2, Sanguis. Part 2 of the trilogy known as A Dark Poem is here with Sanguis. This is a bit shorter than Part 1 at 6 songs and 38 minutes, but it feels complete and the true centerpiece of the trilogy. The songs on this one have more of a commercial feeling throughout, while never losing their gothic, progressive, and doom metal elements. For example, the single I Am Time is easily the catchiest song the band has ever done, and that is saying a lot. The lyrical content on this one is also the darkest from the band to date, with subject matter that hits way too close to home on my end, but it also feels nice to be seen as well. The production will inevitably sound similar on parts 1 through 3. To become a full album, that's how it works, but it sounds fantastic and so clear, and I am chomping at the bit to hear part 3 coming out later this year. But until then, I have 2/3 of this massive collection, and playing them back to back feels so rewarding. If you dig Green Carnation and you want to hear something a little less stretched out but down to its true meat and potatoes of the band, check out Sanguis, A Dark Poem Part 2. Up now is Hellripper with Coronach, and I really hope I pronounced that right. The fourth album from the Scottish band is by far the best in the band's catalog. It has everything you ever loved about the band, but done with just enough finesse, tenacity, and care for the music at hand to make it some of the most melodic and intriguing music in the catalog, mixed in with a perfect production style for the music. It's that perfect blend of black metal and speed metal to give you just the best of both worlds and leaving you wanting more. James McBain has done it again. If you dig Midnight, Bewitcher, Sodom, and Sabbath, you know what to do. Check this one out now. Now we have Orathania with Echo of Freedom. The debut album from this Ukrainian band is everything that I love about the style of folk metal. It's not wacky or over the top, it just hits the right elements, feeling more like Borknikar than Elvati or Trollfest, if you catch my drift. While I'd be lying if I said I understood the lyrics or the concepts going on with this album, I love how they are sung and screamed, and they fit so well with the music behind it. I can see some people not digging the vocal style on this one, but for me, it perfectly matches the music. If you want something in the vein of the aforementioned Borknikar, Druth, or Nocturnal Mortem, give this one a proper listen. Here we have Poison Ruin with Hymns from the Hills. The third or fourth album from this band, depending on how you look at it, is from the Philadelphia band, and it's my first foray into this band, but it definitely won't be my last. Hitting the level of punk, post-punk, new wave of British heavy metal, and almost blackened crust punk at times, is something that hits just enough of all these sounds without going too far into one direction, with a production style that fits more like 1986, and sounds that hit you right after another. This is a punk album that feels as classic as it does modern in all of the right ways. If you want a band that can channel their love of the Damned, Ambiex, Killing Joke, and even Dark Throne, check out Poison Ruin in all of their glory. Next up, we have Ramzet with Sapien, one of the most left-of-center albums that I've covered so far this year, and I think it's going to be one of the most left-of-center albums I'm going to come across this year. It comes in the form of the sixth album and first in 14 years from this Norwegian band. Feeling like a true mix of Unexpect, Stolen Babies, Diablo Swing Orchestra, and Tomera. This is a band that I'm discovering for the first time here, and it captures so much of that progressive, gothic, blackened, and avant-garde moments, but instead of just going bonkers with no real rhyme or reason, every single note has a purpose, and it makes the song so much better for it. The production on this one is also stellar, and allows for everyone to shine. This is not an album for the faint of heart, but it is for anyone who wants those extra layers tied into their favorite genres of music to create a dramatic, theatrical, and captivating display of metal. Next up is Reflection Black with Burning Obsidian Star. Sophomore album from this Greek band is such a phenomenal display of goth rock and post-punk mixed together with just enough heaviness to it all. Feeling like a mix of Unto Others, Grave Pleasures, The Sisters of Mercy, and Final Gasp if they came together and wrote an album as authentically as possible. The production is pure 1986, the songwriting has absolutely no fluff, every single note has a purpose here. Mixed in with a vocal delivery that can send chills down your spine, and you have one of the best albums of this style in 2026. It's been a great year for the genre, and this is one of the finest examples you're going to find. Give this one a proper listen. Next up is Sol Negri with Anthems for a Grand Collapse. The sophomore album from the Spanish band instantly caught my attention when I received the promo for this, and it's kept my interest this entire time, putting together my favorite blend of death doom together while creating some of the most tear-jerking material that I've heard so far this year is no easy feat in a world that we know as 2026. But that's what's happened here, and that album title more than lives up to our current state of life. Every single note played here feels devastating and does not let up on the emotional wreckage. The production is exactly what the genre calls for and feels utterly powerful listen after listen. If you enjoy your death doom in the styles of Early Day Anathema, Swallow the Sun, My Dying Bride, and Shape of Despair, you absolutely need this band in your life. Up next is a band name I really hope I get right, Splendidula with Absentia. The fourth album from this Belgian band is a mix of atmospheric black metal, doom metal, and it's just created in such great unholy harmony. It can sound as angelic as it does demonic, and that combination is a winning combination for sure. While the production, mixing, and mastering is very much on the raw side, it works in favor of the music, giving it that atmospheric element that feels authentic, and especially if you enjoy the style, it will work in its favor. Adding guest vocalists from Tim Taras of Austere and the almighty Aaron Stainthorpe of High Parasite, and you have an album that truly feels like a mix of Austere, My Dying Bride, and Amateurs. If you need that mix of genres, I implore you not to skip out on this one. It is more than worthy of your time. Next up is Tarfod with an album title I'm going to absolutely butcher, Morger Taker Levets Loose. My apologies for getting that wrong. The astonishing 6th album in 2 years, and every time I say this, they are not an AI band. From this one-man Swedish band, it's quite possibly the bleakest, darkest, and most captivating album of this short life so far. Strip away most of the progressive elements on this one, though they are still there in the songwriting. It focuses much more on the atmospheric black metal side of their sound and features remnants of Order of Nosferat on almost all of the tracks here, with regular vocalist Johanna Furberg on one track, giving this album a much different flavor. While the production on this one is more on the raw side, it fits with the atmosphere of the music brilliantly, and the songwriting is easily some of the best of this style. It really gives me that early and dark era of Alcest vibes, mixed in with the haunting melodies and harmonies that will be stuck in your head for days on end. What I love about this band is that no matter the direction that they go into, it will always sound like them, and I love what they're doing here. Considering the track record, I don't expect this to be their only album of 2026, but even if it is, I can't wait to see what comes next. Now we have Threat Signal with Revelations. Threat Signal has been one of the best Canadian metalcore bands going since Under Reprisal, all the way back in 2006. 20 years later, the band has returned with their 5th album, and it's a fantastic display of everything that they've been capable of, and they're still pushing for more in their sound. It's always been interesting to hear a band that can channel Meshuggah, Fear Factory, Soilwork, and Linkin Park into their sound and make it sound natural, but they continue to do that here, mixed in with an utterly fantastic production style that lets every song shine. If you've never been a metalcore fan, I can't imagine that this album will sway you into actually enjoying it, but if you've ever had a passing fancy for the genre, this will either remind you of how much you enjoyed it in the past, or how much you've been missing. Every time this band puts on an album, it feels like a mission statement, and that's what's happening here again with Revelations. They are a band here to stay. Now we have Winterfelleth with the Unyielding Season. The 9th album from this long-running black metal unit continues to prove why they are one of the most consistent and uncompromising bands in all of black metal. Every album has a signature sound to it, sometimes a little more symphonic, sometimes a little more atmospheric, sometimes a little more straight ahead, but it always sounds unapologetically like Winterfelleth. With almost all of their previous albums having a very dark, cold feel to the song, this one is pure fire, and sadly, an incredible display of what the world feels like in 2026. It feels like everything is going to hell, and this is the perfect soundtrack to it all. At least the soundtrack to our demise is dark and majestic. The production is stunning, and the songwriting is what it's always loved about the band. It's just done in a little bit of a new way. For those who enjoy Wooden's Throne, Fen, Agalok, and Panopticon, Winterfell put out music like no one else, and they nail it every single time. This is by far no exception. And finally today we have Witch Ripper with Through the Hourglass. The 3rd album from the Seattle band feels like the heaviest and sludgiest ends of Mastodon and Baroness. Think Everything Up to Crack the Sky for Baroness and Red Album Blue Record for Baroness, and you have Witch Ripper, a band that clearly has the talents and creativity to make some impactful and full sounding music. Reminds you of 20 years ago, but updated enough for 2026. The production is so rich and full of songs that take you on a journey after journey in sound. As great as it sounds on record, I can only imagine that this album will hit even harder in a live setting. But if you love that mid to late 2000s sound, that progressive sludge metal sound, you need Witch Ripper, and I couldn't recommend that more. And there you go, folks, another 24 albums down for Out Today and What I Missed, this time for April 10th, 2026. What'd you think? Did I cover some good stuff? Did I cover some bad stuff? Anything that I missed out on? Anything I should be looking forward to? Please let me know down below. And of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And make sure to come back next week for Out Today and What I Missed for April 17th, 2026. But until then, this is a recovering Josh Runquist for the Have Debriefings YouTube channel saying, embrace the skullet.